Welcome to Seattle Angel Meetup session today, sponsored by Mossy Ventures and John Seacrest. I'm happy to have you joining us today. We've got an exciting pair of consultants who are from Symphysis Marketing, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves. I think what we'll do is I'll say a quick word about our program here, and then participants can introduce themselves, and then we'll turn it to Andrew and Kaitlyn. And we're so happy to have you here and excited to be getting going with you. So Seattle Angel Conference has been running. This is into its 22nd session, and we're here focused on improving the investor and founder education program with the goal of making stronger startups, and that's good for the economy. John Seacrest is normally the lead. I'm happy to be here today while he is in Iberia doing some work with some international investors here. All right, Andrew and Kaitlyn, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
You go first.
Sure. We own Symphysis Marketing Solutions. We started as a small business trying to help other small businesses that were struggling to kind of get into the tech age. A lot of the problems that we see with small businesses are like kind of being tech illiterate. They have not even dipped their toes in the waters of doing any apps or anything to manage their business. They're also wearing too many hats. And so we came in, we helped a few really struggling businesses right from the beginning, grew into startups. We really specialize in startups now. We do have some enterprise clients. Our passion is really to work with small businesses and startups to really focus their intentions and to be successful and to grow and to hopefully become much bigger brands in the future.
Yeah, I think one of my litmus tests for a small business is when you start asking them questions in the beginning, you ask them what their plan is, what they'd like to do, and they go, "Oh, I just want to make some money and pay my bills and be happy." And I'm like, "Okay, then you're not one of my clients." Like there's got to be some more aspiration there for me to take them on. My name is Andrew. I met John about 8 years ago, I want to say, at it was called Impact Hub, I believe. It was a place he was managing that startups were coming to and renting space from him in Bellevue. We got into a conversation about data and an algorithm that I was working on, and then we became somewhat acquainted and kept talking over the years. And then a couple of years ago, I started working with him, helping him build out this network and doing some talks and whatever else and doing marketing for him. I come from the marketing side of the startup realm. I kind of got into it on my own. I'd say back in 2009, I was doing development with a couple different JavaScript packages, building websites, built a pretty big dating website at one point in time, then sold the name of it to OkCupid, which is interesting. Yeah, so a couple interesting ventures there on my own. I think I had a startup a year from 18 to 27, and then now I'm pretty stable in here at 34. I really enjoy the marketing realm. I really enjoy being able to help other companies reach their goals and change their entire system. It's really fun to kind of take on an operations role in another company for a while and step away from it and watch it really flourish. So I really enjoy that. Most of my goals here are to help you guys become more successful, more focused, and even offer some advice at times. I don't want this actually to be like a typical meeting where I just talk forever and everybody just listens. I would love for everybody to be interactive with every single one of these programs we're going to show you.
Yeah, please ask questions.
Yeah, and if you have recommendations or other programs you use, or you want to ask why we chose one over another, like why did you choose ClickUp over Monday? Why did you choose ClickUp over Trello? Why did and the answer isn't always straightforward. It's not like I didn't choose one over the other. It's just that this works better for an organizational structure of my type over something like Trello or Todoist or whatever you use.
So a lot of the reason that we did this is because we really struggled through the first couple of years of running our own business to keep things organized and focused, and we tried a lot of different tools that didn't work out for us, like especially task management. if you don't start off on the right foot with how you organize your task management, you kind of fall apart right from the beginning. And so we've tried a lot of different systems, and we want to show you guys what the best systems that we found are, so that you guys don't have to make the same mistake we did of trying 30 different things to just settle on one.
Yeah, and at the end, we'll make sure everybody has a link to this. The only reason I'm not going to post it now is because I don't want people to get distracted while we're trying to answer questions and people are asking questions. I want everybody to hear everybody's feedback, because community is far more powerful than just a slideshow, for sure. So anyways, yeah, I will start presenting now. I have it right here. All right, everybody can see it? Cool. All right, so startup tools to stay focused, provided by Symphysis Marketing Solutions. And I clicked the wrong button. There we go. You want to start out?
Sure, getting off to the right start. So first and foremost, you're gonna have your whole team actually on board for this.
It sounds easy.
Like if you're doing task management, obviously you want everybody involved in that task management. You definitely need every member to be on board and also to be entirely using it all of the time. Otherwise, one person drops off and everybody starts dropping off. It falls apart very quickly if you don't have every single person on board. You're going to make mistakes. Just keep trying. Like I said with the task management, like if you don't set it up the right way in the beginning, it's going to become a mess really quickly. The great thing about all of these tools is that if you do set them up incorrectly from the beginning, you can go back and change it. Everything is customizable. Like there are so many options to screw it up, but also to fix it again. So just keep trying. We all make mistakes right from the beginning. And then one tool doesn't fit all. Some people are more experienced than other people. Some people are completely tech literate. Some people are very tech savvy. You're going to have people all across the board. So it really depends on where your team is at. Start with a free version if possible. I always recommend starting with the free version because startups don't always have a whole lot of money. And if you don't like it, then you didn't spend any money on it. No harm, no foul. If you do like it, then fantastic. You can keep using the free version. You can upgrade, whatever you need to do. But definitely use that free version if you can, and then use the free trial to its full potential. And then sometimes you can get a better deal on upgrading if you just ask. A lot of these companies are startups themselves. They are happy to get as many people on board as possible, and if they have to give you a discount to do it, they are likely to do it.
Yeah, I'd say like the message on the getting a better deal on programs. One instance that we heard of was somebody we actually worked with through the Angel conferences. A gentleman had called the customer service line for HubSpot and was like, yeah, it's just too expensive. And so they cut down his bill to like $180 for their $800 a month package. And he was able to use it at that price for, I think, a year and a half before they changed it to the normal price again.
I think it might have been a year.
Yeah,
it was a year.
it was 18 months. Well, whatever. Anyways, so yeah, I mean, even companies like HubSpot, it doesn't hurt to call and test your limits. If you really need the tool, try it out, see what happens. Anyways, okay. So we're going to start with the one that I think is pretty important here. Somebody a minute ago, actually, I think it was, somebody was talking about managing customers, right? Yeah, Nick. So HubSpot is, it's considered a CRM, a customer relations manager, or a client relations manager, whatever you want to refer to it as, or a contact manager. But it also includes email marketing, chatbots, like analytics tracking. It's got a fantastic free version. I think you can send like 1,000 emails a month on the free version. If you're not already using HubSpot, Nick, I would absolutely recommend just going through their free tool to training tutorials and finding out what kind of things it can offer you.
And it really grows with you. Like the free version has a lot of options that you can absolutely use. If you do want to upgrade to the first tier of paid, I think it's something like $20 a month if you pay for the whole year, which is pretty reasonable. And it has a lot of options in it. It's got analytics tracking, it has ads, and all sorts of things that you never thought could all be stuffed into one tool.
Yeah, is anybody else in here using CRM? I know Nathaniel obviously is. What's your guys' Salesforce?
Yeah, we use Salesforce, and then we have internal tools as well, but mostly Salesforce.
Salesforce is also a great tool. A lot of people use it. I think it's pretty pricey.
It's fairly pricey, I believe.
Yeah.
I think starting out for a small startup, you get like a discount, but I think it only lasts for so long. But yeah, anybody else, any CRM recommendations or use cases or questions about this one?
I have a use case question about marketing. So we're starting out some content marketing, and I want to better organize the topics that we're trying to market about and kind of have authority on, all related to social confidence and limiting beliefs. But there's probably a list of about 25 to 30 different topics. Curious if HubSpot, you think I could use HubSpot for that as well, or if there's a better tool?
You could probably bucket it, but there's another program that would probably work better. It was, what's the one, Elizabeth, that Innovari is using?
Well, we're just using Airtable right now.
There was
Is that
another
the
one
one?
for social posting.
Oh, we should include a social.
Well, it's the Innovari app, I think, but
There's some social post
oh,
that they're using. Anyways, I would say that there are a lot of good tools that you can use, but if you're looking for this to post content to social media, or you're looking for this to
manage
just
topics.
manage topics that you're emailing to people?
Both, yeah. I guess organize the topics, figure out the dates that we posted, maybe use it to post the topics as well. But I'll mostly just right now to start out managing it all.
Okay.
When we personally are keeping track of our blog topics and stuff, we're using like a spreadsheet.
Okay. The Airtable is probably the best call, something like that.
Yeah, it's decent. Yeah. I'd say that there's another product that I won't mention on a recorded video that's going to be posted on YouTube for legal purposes, for that company's safety. But there are other tools out there as well that you could probably go research that they work as an all-in-one posting system, and you can set up different campaigns. It's kind of like a Hootsuite, but on steroids.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else have any questions or? No? All right, cool.
That's like one of our biggest recommendations is always using HubSpot. If you don't have a CRM, at least use HubSpot.
Yeah, and it tracks your form submissions, and it also connects to your email to track your email conversions too. So you can send somebody an email, and as long as you have the HubSpot app installed in your Gmail system, if you're using Gmail, of course.
It's an extension.
It's an extension, yeah. And so it actually is, what do you call that? A verified extension. Yeah, sorry. A verified extension through Google. So with Gmail, it embeds it straight into Gmail. And then when you send somebody an email, you can see if they've opened it, if, how many times they opened it, weird analytics, and it all blind carbon copies the address that tracks it all.
And
so nobody sees it.
I love getting a form entry, and HubSpot tells me that I've gotten a form entry and also tells me where they came from. They'll tell me like that they came from Google, they visited this page first, then they went to this page, then they went to our contact page and sent us a form. It's wonderful for like knowing where they came from. And like tracking user flow through the website. Like, okay, first they went to small business information, then they went to startup information. Oh, they must have been confused. Then they went here. Then they found us on the contact form, whatever they needed to do. It's really cool to be able to see all of that information.
Yeah, and they all offer some call assistance stuff and tracking as well too.
It's like a digital Rolodex. It's pretty way more intensive than just that, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love it. I think everybody should use it. It's a great organizational tool to keep track of your clients and relationships.
ClickUp, yay. So we've gone through a lot of task management tools. We use Todoist, we use ClickUp, we use like Microsoft Teams,
Trello.
Monday board.
A huge list.
Todoist, did you say that?
Yes, I did say Todoist. That was the first one.
Yeah, so we've used a ton of them.
Yes, and almost all of them are still in construction. Like they're getting updates constantly. Like Todoist, right before we quit using Todoist and started using ClickUp, they were getting some really great updates. So I don't want to say that ClickUp is like the end all be all.
We'll probably change again.
Yeah, we'll probably change again at some point. But for now, ClickUp has been the best one that we've used. It's very customizable. It's simple to use.
It connects to your calendar.
Yes,
connects to your email.
yes,
It's really a handy tool.
yes.
It integrates with, I'd say, 30 or 40 other applications. So if there's something that you don't know if it, goes with ClickUp, just go check through their compatibility or their whatever you want to call it, plugins, extensions, whatever they refer to it as.
And I've seen people make mistakes with ClickUp and other task management systems where they just don't organize it the right way from the first time and don't go back and change it. It just kind of remains a mess. So definitely organize it the way that makes most sense for your business. You can see on our slideshow here, the little blob in the center where it says everything, operations, marketing, financials. That's actually our file system right there. We have a very complicated file system because we have a lot of businesses. Symphysis is not our only brand. And so underneath each of these folders, if you click into them, like on marketing, you can see our main business, our secondary business, and our third and fourth business all have their own folders. And so this was the easiest way for us to keep track. Definitely, you're going to make mistakes. We made the mistake of organizing this in a different way the first time, and I spent an hour, maybe 2 hours going through and just reorganizing it into a way that really made sense for our business. And now it works perfectly for us.
Yeah, I'd say like if you're going to use a task management tool, you get into it, you start building it out. One of my biggest recommendations is to stop everything you're doing after you've built it the first time and you're taking a look at it and you're kind of confused. Stop everything you're doing and start remaking it again under a new file. Just create a new folder, start laying it out in a way that you think makes more sense. And I'd say do 3 or 4 of those and figure out which one you're going to delete at the end and shuffle all the other stuff into the new one.
It definitely takes some setup.
Yeah,
for sure. But once you have it, it's wonderful. You can communicate with all of your team members, set due dates without even having to speak to them in person. You can be working in the middle of the night. Your team can be working in the middle of the day. You can still be communicating. You can still be setting your dates on things and getting things done. And really focusing on your goals altogether.
And where I'd say where ClickUp lacks the most is probably mobile usability. Like it's got basic features on mobile where you can like go add a task, you can switch between profiles, you can update things and change things. But I'd say if you're a desktop user, if you're a daily desktop user, absolutely ClickUp. If you're working on your phone, you just need to leave like reminders and assign it to somebody. Use something like Todoist or Trello. Trello is great too. What was the other one? Asana. Asana. Asana was great at first and then became very terrible. And Trello kind of blew them out of the water because it was like Trello was kind of along first with the boards, and then Asana tried to take the same market and didn't do a very good job. So we went back to Trello. And a lot of these programs like ClickUp and Trello and whatever else also integrate with Slack communication. I don't know if anybody uses Slack here, but they integrate really well with Slack. We don't use Slack at all anymore. We basically just leave all of our notes in ClickUp and call it a day because it gives you a live chat. So if you send somebody a message, it gives them a notification on their phone and their email, whatever they have set up.
You can even put like your documents that are related to that task in there so that if somebody comes around and they're like, oh, I don't actually know where this file is located to work on it. Oh, it's right there. It's attached to the task that I have right here. And one thing that I also really like about ClickUp and quite a few of the other systems is that it has options. So you have like a list view, you can make like a board view where you have like the squares you move across the board of like start, not started, started, in progress, whatever. All of those things. It has a lot of options for the layout that you want to use. It even has mind maps and other things. And it's also always getting updates. It just got an update a few days ago where it got a new system added to it. And so really, it's probably the best one we've used so far. It's really customizable. You can even change the colors of your desktop, like just so many things. Oh, and always set due dates. Like if you don't have due dates set, things tend to get forgotten along the way. Always set due dates.
Yeah, George, the reason we were mentioning like, overseas teams is because it sounds like this would be a good tool for you. Mm-hmm. It's so well integrated. It's got a great free tier option. It's a really good program. I would definitely recommend trying it out.
Every day I go through, and if I find anything that's past date, I set a new date for it, and it keeps me really on track.
Yeah, yep. Like a good like 10-minute maintenance cycle at the end of every day to just manage your task manager.
Beginning and end of the day, probably.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're using it throughout the day.
Yeah, you use it throughout the day as you check things off, whatever.
Yeah, I end up leaving it open on my computer. And so like as I finish my task throughout the day, I'm sure everybody does the same thing. No, I'm just kidding. I know all of you leave 1,000 tabs open. But as I go through my day, I make sure I close every tab that I'm done with as I go. And the very last one that I always get to is ClickUp, and then I just leave it open. And so it's there the next day as soon as I come back to my computer and I'm ready to go.
And you can see from the pictures here, the different options that some of the different options that you have here of like mind maps and boards, list views. It's really customizable, and one person from the next on your team can be seeing it in two different modes. Like one person likes list view, one person likes a board view. Whatever it is that works for the individual, you can do.
Yeah, and you guys can also feel free to like reach out to us if you have a question on how to use a specific feature. If you're hitting a roadblock, we will not charge you for that time, maybe. But yeah, no, so they're fantastic tools. You know, like Monday, ClickUp, Trello, all of those. I highly recommend ClickUp. It does a lot of things the other ones don't. You see down here in the corner, there's this mind map, which is fantastic. Like the fact that you can use a mind map in this is incredible. And you can organize your tasks into a mind map and then add details to them, which is really cool too.
The only thing about the mind map is that you have like a limited number of things that you can put in a mind map before it asks you to upgrade. Yeah. But their free version, or sorry, their first tier of payment, I think it's only $5 per user, so it's pretty affordable if you do have to pay for it.
Any questions?
Yeah. Georgia had one. Some of the tasks are heavily project management oriented and some are plain tasks. So if you have a combination, is ClickUp still the best recommendation?
Yes.
Yes, so you can do overarching tasks, and then you can do tasks underneath that task, subtasks, and really have the ability to keep track of every little thing.
You know, George, that brings up an interesting conversation on the side here. So have you tried GitLabs?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so it's by GitHub. It's free. GITLABS.
Okay.
Try that one out. That one is a fantastic tool for developers. We use that on one of the programs that we've developed in-house. By the way, we also own 3 other startups that we just kind of like play with periodically, depending on what we need out of them. We just ignore them for a long period of time once they've done what we need. Mostly we use them in-house for our own marketing. Some of them for bringing in new clients and things like that. But we'll get there one day. You'll hear about them eventually.
And that is why our ClickUp is so complicated.
For us,
complicated for anyone else.
In fact, we started out with Google spreadsheets, worked out pretty well until it started getting complicated.
That's what we did too.
Yeah, we did start with spreadsheets.
We've got we've got like this just massive project tracking file that it tracks all of the projects, every link, keywords, everything like that. It's all just a giant spreadsheet. And I was considering turning it into an app using one of the Google APIs, but then we found other programs, and I was like, I don't have time for that.
It's already been done. We're good.
Yeah, reinventing the wheel is fun, but only if it really needs to fly. Anyways. Gmail, obviously. This is a very obvious one. I don't know if many of you use Gmail like professionally or not. We use it with our domain. So if you email me, Andrew at sympphysismarketing.com, you're going to be sending it to a Gmail account. So it's really easy to log into, works anywhere in the world.
It also gives you access to all of the Google products, basically, just having a Gmail account.
Some people,
almost all of them are free.
Yeah, some people that we've worked with are like opposed to using Google Gmail for marketing, reasons, like not for their marketing reasons, but for the reasons of their personal information being used in marketing tactics and sales and ads and whatever else. And I don't care. I really don't care. Like if you want to send me a bunch of junk mail, if you want to advertise to me, great. It's one of the best products on the market. I wouldn't recommend going anywhere else. I've tried working with, different suites, different,
Outlook.
Yeah. Like, I've worked with Outlook. I've worked with, what's the mail server, like Squirrel Mail and all, like dozens of other systems. There have been a lot of them over the years. I would say Google is the easiest to use and it integrates the best. And it also has its own built-in SPF record, DKIM record, and DMARC record verification process. You just go through and you check the boxes and copy and paste a TXT record, and everything is secure, and your emails do not go to spam, do not get flagged as spam. And if they do get flagged as spam, you have a recovery period instead of just a shutdown of all of your emails. Highly recommend, highly recommend, highly recommend. Okay, anyways, yeah, so it integrates with a lot of tools. It's great for logging into websites and apps, includes instant messaging for fast communication, free or low cost. And also it has free integrations with WordPress for a verification login process, which is also fantastic. If you want somebody who's logging into your website and you're using a WordPress distribution for that, they can use their Gmail account to log in if you set it up that way. Highly recommend.
Absolutely.
Any questions about that? Anybody have like a, I mean, it's Gmail. Everybody knows what the hell it is. All right, Google Drive. Hey, Google again. So I don't know if anybody in here has used Google Drive to its full extent. Obviously, there's document sharing, but then there's also something called what is it, Jamboard? Is that what it's called? Or
Yeah, Jamboard.
Yeah, Jamboard. So
That's what ClickUp just got. So ClickUp just got whiteboards.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So down here where you see the more button, if you click on that, there's a bunch of other crazy stuff in there, like setting up forms, and you can embed those forms on your website or send them in an email, or like even for the Seattle Angel Conference, we use a form like that on one of the web pages that we manage for them to intake newsletter subscriptions. And then we use that plus Zapier to automate it off to the email lists. So, you know, it's the integration you cannot beat. You absolutely cannot beat the integration that Google Drive offers you.
And you don't have to pay for it. You can open basically any document somebody sends you. Like you have an Office document, you don't have Microsoft Office, you can open it in Google Drive if you need to. So they're just, sky's the limit on Google Drive. I really appreciate the ability to like not have to save ever. It just automatically saves as you're working. I really appreciate being able to work in different places with my team on the same document. So somebody can be in California, I can be up in Seattle, and we're still working on the same document. We're commenting on the document. We're working in real time with each other in the same place. You can do Jamboard, which is like a virtual whiteboard. You can be doing in 6 different places in the world, all working on the same whiteboard. It's very simple to use and very integrative. I can't recommend it enough.
Yeah, you can also build like custom maps for things like so I love recycling. I'm just like, I don't think you understand how absurd it is. Like I'll surf Craigslist for a couple months ahead of time for a project so I can collect all the parts I need for free from people throwing it away, like the drywall behind you on the walls here, the 2x4s that the wall over there is made out of, like everything, insulation and all, everything for free. Because it's just free. It's out there waiting to be taken. Somebody's gonna throw it in the dump, and I hate that. So one of the things I like to do is Google allows you to build custom maps. And so one of the things that I've started doing recently is building a map for my family so that they know where I spotted the mallet on the side of the road, or a piece of piping on the side of the road, or like a random part or something, you know, like things fall off the back of trucks all the time. I think we have like 8 construction hats in the garage that have all come off the highway. I've got like my nicest welding helmet, my auto darkening one. Highway maps are fantastic. You can make your own custom maps for things. Like it could be for anything. It could be like for your company, for instance, like, hey, you know, we have 6 suppliers around town, or, oh, you know, we have a meeting with this company across town again next week. Here's the map. Here are the different companies labeled on the map so you can remember where they are.
We're doing a tour of whatever.
Yeah.
And here are all the spots we're stopping.
Yeah, you can schedule it and sync it with your teamwork account, basically. I think it's a Google Workspace account in this case. Mm-hmm. But what you can do is you can integrate it with your Workspace account, so that way you can set locations for clients or, you know, specific events or whatever's going on, and sync those in your calendar. So you can say, oh, this day it's at this location within our team map.
Google Drive is fantastic. You can find your documents anywhere in the world. You can even, a lot of the times, have the option of finding things in your Google Drive to upload to different websites. So they're like, it's just a great tool.
Yeah.
So many integrations.
DigitalOcean. So I know a lot of people like AWS. I hate AWS. Sorry, Nathaniel. Yeah, no, so AWS is I mean, I haven't used it in years, so I don't know that it's still this complicated piece of thing that it used to be. But I much prefer DigitalOcean. It's got some pretty reasonable hosting costs.
I had literally no idea how to do any of this, and did some instructions, followed the instructions, built websites that I had no idea I could even build a website from scratch like that. And it was really easy to use, very simple.
George, for quick development, I'd say try it out. But one thing to keep in mind is when you go to create one, start a team. Like at the top here, you'll see this little icon for your profile. If you click on that, there's a drop down that says create a team. If you're going to do something that you're selling as a distribution, always create a team. Do not put it under your main account. Other than that, it's absolutely fantastic. If you're trying to create a really fast and easy to build website, use the Open Lightspeed WordPress server. It's amazing. It's a little more complicated to set up with the from the console, but I'd say, you know, if you're at all acquainted with command line, you'll be fine.
When I started using Open Lightspeed specifically, I was a little bit deer in the headlights for sure. But Open Lightspeed is very customizable. I've made the fastest websites I've ever made in my entire life with Open Lightspeed. So definitely recommend that.
And I'll tell you all right now, there's no way to produce a WordPress website that has as heavy of images as some of the ones that we've produced and as fast without Open Lightspeed. Open Lightspeed actually used the inside of the server. There's a so let me back up here. So the server itself is an Open Lightspeed distribution, which then has an install of WordPress on it. And what it does is it actually integrates with WordPress, and it will compress all of the images into WebP for you without all the latency and lag that all the other systems provide. So it takes it, sends it off to another server, compresses the images into WebP, and then renders the WebP version instead of the JPEG or PNG or GIF or whatever. And I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with WebP, but it's like, you know, like a PNG, but tiny, like size-wise.
Much faster to load.
Yeah.
One thing that I didn't include in this slideshow that I should have probably included was using WordPress. So WordPress is way more customizable than a lot of the builders you're going to find. All these builders that they're advertising in commercials, they're probably terrible. We've gone through a lot of builders and definitely wanted WordPress out of all of them. A lot of people go onto the WordPress and are just deer in the headlights. I was deer in the headlights the first time I ever saw a WordPress admin board dashboard. But once you figure it out, once you read some tutorials or watch some tutorials, it's very simple and very customizable. You have way more control over your website than any of these like Wix or Weebly or anything like that. You really don't have any access to the back end when you're using tools like that. So it's great for somebody who has no idea how to build a website and is doing it for the first time. But if you know anything about SEO, if you know anything about how to make your website go faster, or really anything that's more intensive than just a basic website, I would definitely recommend WordPress.
We used to custom build websites, to be totally clear here. You know, like we would go and we would start with a blank sheet, you know, open HTML and we'd start there. It was immense. It was massive, and it made it like prohibitively expensive to develop websites for people, for clients.
Yeah, and especially since the client can't just jump in and start changing things on that.
Yeah, when we're done, we want to just hand it to the client and say like, here, it's yours. Come back to us if you need us. You know, we don't want to babysit somebody for 30 years. We're not trying to get that monthly contract. You know, nothing like that. We want to make sure that people are set up for success and then they can walk away and go be successful.
WordPress is one of those.
Yeah,
tools.
highly recommend using WordPress. And on WordPress, we use Oxygen Builder. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Oxygen Builder yet. Their system renders all the CSS and JSON for you, so you don't have all like the latency issues you'd normally have with a builder system that's trying to inject it into some weird frameworks on like within WP Bakery. I'm sure people here have used WP Bakery before. It also used to be called 1,000 other things. There was like a JavaScript name for it back in the 2010s or something. I don't know, whatever it was.
The only thing about Oxygen Builder that I would say, like, just be warned about is that you can't use it on your current website if you're not currently using Oxygen Builder.
Yeah, start a new server.
Yeah, start a new staging site, stage it all there before you're done, and then transfer it over. Because if you're trying to use Oxygen Builder and your old builder at the same time, it won't work. It'll screw up your whole website. Well, it won't screw it all up. It will screw it up from the front end. You won't be able to see anything. Your users are going to get there and be like, "What is this?"
Yeah, if anybody else has any recommendations on builders, we've used like, WP Bakery, Beaver Builder, Divi, Elementor. We've used all of the different systems. A lot of garbage.
Webflow too.
Yeah, Webflow was
kind of a nightmare.
They're like made for designers. Like, which designer are you talking about? Like
A designer who also knows how to do development work.
a designer who also has a proficiency as a taxonomist and a data scientist, because it's so hard to get it to work, and everything is bucketed in weird places that doesn't make any sense.
I really like the capabilities of Oxygen Builder, that you can just one click and see what it looks like in desktop versus tablet versus mobile. It's very simple to make a website that looks good in every screen size.
It's gonna be like our Gus talk where Webflow is not gonna be, hey man, you hurt my feelings.
I have a question. We're using Wix. We have about 40 pages of it, and now I realize that the kind of speed is slow and I can't do much of SEO. But would it be possible to move it to Oxygen Builder? Is it easy, or rebuilding and stuff? Got up 40
It's
pages.
pretty easy to rebuild as long as you've got a design to work with. I assume if you guys pretty proficient with development at this point?
Yep.
Yeah, so you should be fine. I'd say hop right in. It's like it's somewhere below Webflow and closer to, like, I don't know. Oxygen Builder is fantastic. It's a WordPress installation, so use Open Lightspeed with WordPress, throw Oxygen Builder inside of it, and then just start redesigning it there. It shouldn't take you long, and you can actually create templates and styles. So when you go to set your CSS, you can set up global styles across the whole website. So it's like, you want to use an H1, it's always going to be the same looking H1. If you want an H1 to be different, change the class. So it's pretty nice.
It is really nice, and there are so many options that come with the builder that you don't have to build things from scratch. And then if you do want to build things from scratch, it's really easy as well. They have so many tutorials, like just so many tutorials, and then there are plenty of people that are outside of the company that are making tutorials as well. So basically anything you want to design, there's a tutorial for it. I can't recommend this one enough either.
Yeah.
And it also gets frequent updates. So every 6 months to a year.
It's been less than that recently. It's been pretty quick.
They were using older code.
Well, they were using PHP 7.4, I want to say. And so for a while there, we were having to go in and roll back the WordPress distribution and remove and reinstall PHP to go back to a PHP version that worked.
But they fixed that.
But they fixed it recently, so
Yeah.
that was nice.
Not only did they fix that, they made everything faster. They rewrote basically the entire code of Oxygen Builder in a faster code, and it makes it way better.
Yeah, it now runs on JSON for the most part, which is amazing. Everything is much faster, loads really well. There are less glitches, less communication errors when it goes to render a page. It's a great tool. A lot of people have like a prejudice against using WordPress, but I think their biggest issue is actually the builder system that they're using within WordPress.
Yeah.
Most of the builder systems are very limited, extraordinarily limited. Oxygen Builder renders its own system when you open it. So it's like you click edit with Oxygen on the WordPress page, and it goes to another page where it then loads the actual system of Oxygen Builder.
And they have a lot of I don't want to say templates, like design files that you can use just straight off from what they have. Like our first website that we built with Oxygen Builder, we entirely used one of their design sets, and it looked fantastic. We just put our own images in it and our own text in it. It looked pretty good. We've moved on from that. We don't use the stuff that comes with it at all anymore. We don't use their design sets because obviously we've definitely figured out how to do it ourselves and make it look better. But it does come with a lot of just stuff to design your website very easily, plug and play. You can even basically you can look through their websites that they've designed and choose your entire website just right there. It's like you've got all the elements that you would need to design an entire website. Just throw in your information on it.
And our number one goal is speed at all times.
Mhm.
So the number one ranking factor for Google is speed. Everything else comes after that. But all the other ones are a little bit more compounding, but speed is first. So most of our websites rank like, 98 up to 100% for all of the Google attribution checks. So it's checking for like performance, SEO, it's checking for accessibility, load time, page rendering, whatever.
The only thing that the only challenge that I've had with slowing down a website is putting background images into sections.
For videos.
Well, videos, not so much. The background images are the real problem, because when you're using like the open light speed to optimize your images into WebP, it does not do background images. So if you put a background image that's like 5,000 pixels, it's going to slow down your website because it can't be replaced. So I avoid background images as much as possible. But other than that, it's super fast. If you can avoid the background images, you're going to be in the 90s.
Anybody have any questions about that last one? This person does. Okay. All right, so if you're building a website, if you need to build a website, if you need some design inspiration, we always use One Page Love. It's a fantastic website. If you haven't checked it out, if you even have a web page now and you're like, I think my web page kind of sucks and I need to fix it, go to One Page Love. And one thing I will say is a lot of developers don't use this strategy, but I love it. When in doubt, space it out. I don't know if you guys have heard this before, but it is so fantastic to look at something and go, this all looks like shit. And then you add 40 pixels and you're like, that looks amazing. You'll see it. You'll probably do it once or twice in your life. When in doubt, space it out. Give yourself more room. It's a web page. You're not going to run out of space.
We had a client come to us to redo their website, and the only real problem with their website, obviously it was slow, it was old and slow. The real problem with their website though was that somebody deleted all of the spacing on their website somehow. It must have been CSS class. So all of the spacing was just crammed together. It looked really bad. I went through and redesigned the website, barely changed anything, and just added spacing, and it looked a million times better, a million times more comfortable for the user, really. But with One Page Love, when we have a client who has no idea even where to start on a design for a website, we send them this, give us some inspiration, like just choose three pages that you like elements of, or that you love the whole page or whatever, send it to us. We'll try to recreate something similar with your branding. And it's really just a really useful spot for inspiration, basically.
Yeah. We use a bunch of other tactics too. Sometimes we'll just go like Google, if we're working on like say a manufacturing company comes to us and they're like, hey, we need a new website. It's like, okay, plastics manufacturing, great. We'll look up manufacturing websites and just go check out manufacturers from around the world, around the country, whatever. Like
a lot of the time I'll do individual sections too, like, oh, I'm making an FAQ. I kind of want ideas to what a good FAQ looks like. So I go search FAQ section template or whatever on Google, and I find just a bunch of pictures that people have made of FAQs that look fantastic. Especially I've done a lot of times with blog archives, because so many people design their blog archives differently. Some websites you go to and you're like, wow, this is beautiful. I'm just going to screenshot this so I can use it in the future. It's really useful to copy other people's work, because nothing on the internet is really sacred. You can even pretty much copy somebody's website exactly and use your own images, your own text. There's nothing, like we've even copied one of Google's websites. We were like, wow, this looks really nice. So we copied it.
If any of you go check out our website, it looks like one of Google's web pages for a very good reason too. And I'll give you another tip. We structured the CSS to have the same labeling that Google does. If that interests you, you should definitely go look at the CSS on Google's like marketing platform page. If you look at the background, every box is named what it is in the CSS classes. They've literally gone through and labeled every bit of CSS.
Every button, every box,
and
every
that's
card.
why they show up first.
Well, they also show up first because they can make themselves show
Well,
up first.
no, they can't anymore. They used to be able to. Now they got in trouble for that.
Yeah. They did get in trouble.
Anyways, anybody have any questions about design inspiration or getting started on a website, anything like that? I mean, George, it sounds like you're kind of convinced. You're like, yeah, I got to move my stuff now. You said Wix. You're muted still.
Hey, you're muted.
You're muted.
I was quite happy when we started. We built very quickly the website and everything was quite good. Then as we got to 40 pages, yeah, we started seeing some of the advanced stuff that you mentioned not being there yet. So thanks.
Yeah, it's kind of like how you set up your task management one way, and then as time goes on, you realize all the flaws in it. It's the same thing. You start using a Wix or Weebly, and it's great at first. It's really great for people who really don't know how to design websites. It's their first time or whatever. And then as soon as you know anything about SEO, as soon as you really know anything about user experience or any of those things, you're like, wow, I'm very limited here.
Yeah, there are other good systems too, aside from WordPress. That I don't know how many of the systems Oxygen Builder works on. I think it's only WordPress at this point in time. But there's there's also like if you're doing e-commerce, I'd say something like BigCommerce or what's the other big one?
I didn't like
Instacart or
BigCommerce.
so the thing I did like about BigCommerce, other than the fact that it's Ruby on Rails, and that's just a bad idea ever, in my opinion, my humble opinion. Yeah, so the cool thing I liked about BigCommerce is you could get into the code. You could actually go in and change stuff, which is not something you see everywhere. Like Shopify, you try to get in and change your code, have fun.
Yeah, don't use Shopify. Just probably not.
It's too expensive for what it is.
Yeah. One thing I really like about WordPress too is that if you don't have the capabilities with what you currently have on your website, there's probably a plugin for it, and it's probably free. There's like a 70% chance that you might be able to find a free version that does exactly what you need it to do. I, for the most part, try not to spend any money on, well, as little money as possible on plugins. And we end up having a really lean website, and we don't spend a whole lot of money on our websites, just as little as possible.
We try to practice the same lean strategy that we give to our clients. So if things change and we find a better tool that's less expensive, we'll switch to that just to make sure that we're adhering to what we try to preach.
Yeah, definitely don't spend money if you don't need to spend money in the beginning. Like startups tend to throw a lot of money at things and here and here and here and see what actually works. But if you can get the advice from the beginning of like, this is free and just use it, it's great.
Yeah, the longer you can operate at a lower cost,
the longer you can stay in business,
the more likely you are to get funded.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
if you can say that like, oh yeah, our operating costs are only $50 a month to an investor.
What's it going to scale to? Not much. We're pretty organized.
It'll be $75 in 3 years.
So one of the tools we recommend, Google Analytics, another Google product, of course. I don't know if anybody knows this or not, but time on page is a ranking factor by Google. Which page? How would Google know? You need Google Analytics. If you want to show up in Google search results, you need Google Analytics.
They frequently say like, you don't need Google Analytics to rank on Google.
To rank at all. They're like, sure, but to rank well, you absolutely need Google Analytics. It's a ranking factor.
Even if you don't use it, you should still have it.
Yeah, if you don't have to look at it. Whatever. We barely look at ours, but we know it's there. We look at our search console far more often.
When we do need to use it, it definitely is very useful, especially useful for tracking campaigns, seeing if your marketing efforts are working. You can see where people drop off.
Behavioral flow is a big one.
Yeah, you can see where people start and where they end up. See how many people are just dropping off immediately, where your pain points are. Like, oh, everybody gets to this page in the checkout system and then suddenly they drop off and they never finish checkout. Why is that?
Oh, man.
Oh, it's broken. That's why.
Set up a 404 page if you don't have one.
Yeah,
like
definitely set up
immediately after this meeting. If you don't have a 404 page, set one up. And when you have that 404 page and you have Google Analytics tracking it, you can check the behavioral flow to your 404 page and find out what is broken.
Find broken links, find
fantastic tools.
broken navigation.
Okay, I'm not going to spend too much time on Google Analytics because I'm sure plenty of you have already played with it and it's like beating a dead horse. Google Search Console. So I don't know.
Andrew, can I just jump in here for a sec? So next Thursday, same time, same channel, we're going to have a session on Google Analytics and the difference after, let's see, here we go. I just put in the meetup link to it in here.
It's 4.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
Google Analytics 4 is the new distribution.
It is Google Analytics 4. Yep.
Yeah, it looks a little bit more limited in some ways, but if you know how to use Google Analytics already, it's very immersive. Like there's so much more you can do with the new system. But just looking at it the first time, like going from the Google Analytics 2 or whatever the original one is that we're all using, and looking at Google Analytics 4, it's like, where did all the stuff go? But at the same time, the navigation features are like, you have to actually punch in what you want. You have to find all of these new maps and find all the sources. And I would definitely recommend taking a training course on it if you want to try to use it.
And Google has training courses for all of their programs, all of their anything. You can watch really detailed videos, and they even have little quizzes to make sure that you're actually getting the information into your brain. I definitely recommend those. If you have any interest in using Google products or marketing or using data from Google, I would definitely recommend those courses.
Yeah, Google Search Console is a fantastic tool. A lot of people probably don't know Google Search Console. They may know Webmaster Tools, which was the original name for it, but this is what it has evolved into. You punch in your website, you verify it. Maybe you use a TXT record, or if you have it through Google Domains, it'll automatically verify it if you're in the same account. But it'll track, what keywords people are using to find you, how often you showed up in a search result and were clicked. It shows you, it shows you errors, 404 pages, bad links, archive pages, pages that aren't in your sitemap.
It'll even send you emails to warn you if you've got problems on your website. Like one that we've gotten a lot is like the content is wider than the page. So that means that somebody is going on your site in mobile and they're scrolling left to right, which is a nightmare.
It's a sin.
Yeah. Not something you ever want on your website. And so it's really useful for things like that. You're not going through your website on your mobile device constantly making sure that you made it exactly the way you want it. Google's going to tell you. It's really fantastic.
Yeah, there are a lot of other navigation things you can use in it too, like what pages people are landing on the most, what pages people are leaving from the most, where people are going from your website, what third-party pages are linking to your website, stuff like that. So it's a fantastic tool as well. I highly recommend. Like the very first thing I set up is Google Tag Manager, Google Search Console, and Google Analytics when I set up a website.
You want all of those things straight from the beginning, for sure.
Yeah.
You want to be able to see. Yeah, you want to be able to see users coming in, where they're going, what keywords brought them in, what destinations brought them. Like, are you showing up on Google? Are you showing up on somebody's blog and they're coming from this random blog website? You want to know those things and you want to capitalize on those things, especially keywords. Like if you can see that like you started ranking for this very specific keyword at this point, and over time it started getting better and better as you wrote more blogs on that topic or included that topic in your blogs or your content or whatever else. And you can see like, oh, our efforts are actually working. We have 300% more people coming in for this keyword now because we've been really hammering it hard on that keyword.
Oh, and it tells you your page position too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which is really, really handy.
So if somebody Googles a word and you come up in the search, it'll say like, oh, you came up #1 for this word. Oh, you came up number 10 for this word. So you can say like, oh, we're almost #1. We're #2 on this word. If we want to make it #1 every time, let's go write a few blogs about this topic. Or let's write a web page about this topic.
Yeah, another interesting thing is you can use the filters and like isolate a keyword and say like, okay, I want to know, for us, it's, marketing, right? So we're a marketing firm, not a marketing agency. There is a difference and most people don't even understand that. But I want to see the people who are looking for a marketing firm. So if I type in like firm, then I can see, local marketing firms or marketing firms near me or top 10 marketing firms. And these are the things that people are typing in when they're looking for exactly what we do. And so then I can go to the website and pander it to whatever those keywords are. You know, as one of the top 10 marketing firms in Bellevue, we offer exclusive help to startups. You know, like that's a big thing. It's different. And so we put those types of terms on our website and we see what it gets us. And then we find out people are looking for, you know, marketing for startups or whatever, you know, whatever it might be. You'll start to see new keywords emerge as you start using these. Google does take into consideration synonymous searches, right? So like if one search is very similar to the phrasing of another search, it will actually still pull the same data. So if your website says something like, you know, leading marketing agency, top marketing agency will also find that leading marketing agency term. So this will tell you when that's happening. It's really nice. Anyways, any questions? Okay. Hotjar. This is a really cool program. I don't know if you guys, anybody here used Hotjar before? Nice. Yeah. Hotjar is fantastic. You can watch playback recordings of people navigating their way through your website. It hides their personal data.
Hides any numbers.
Gives you a country and an IP address, and it shows you clicking. Anything on the page, like, yeah, any number material, anything that's like privately populated on the page is actually blurred out, or they change the characters to just like a $sign to tell you basically you're not allowed to see this, or like X's for usernames and stuff. It's fantastic, but it also slows down your website. So use it sparingly. You know, like if you're like, hey, I think we have a navigation error on the website. It's like, cool, turn on Hotjar, check it out, figure out what it is, and then once it's fixed, take it back off. You know,
it's great for new pages too. If you want to create some really complicated new page and you're like, I want to see how people navigate this page. I want to see if people are even scrolling past the top. Are they reaching the bottom of this page? Are they actually reading this information? Which button are they clicking on? Are they clicking on the big red button, or are they clicking on the link that we hid there, or whatever? We actually had a client use this, and it was a wedding dress store, and she was having bookings. We watched somebody go through her whole website. It was great. Everything was great until they got to the booking page, and they tried to click on book now, which was just a heading. It was not a link at all. They're clicking on book now again and again and again, just repeatedly trying to make this link that's
we
not
made it a link
work.
that just jumped down the page a little bit to the book now.
Yeah. Yeah, it was literally just that they need to scroll just a little bit more, but they gave up. They walked away and never booked the appointment.
The navigation issue there, when we corrected it, they saw like a 20% increase in conversions on the page. So something really dumb, right? Like, what was happening? Why, we don't know. But there's a book now page. People go to the page. They don't fill out the book now. It's like, why not? Because when you get there, it looks like there's a button at the top that says book now, and you go to click on it. It doesn't go anywhere, and you're like, what the hell? It must be broken. I'm leaving. They just have to scroll down. Sometimes it's that easy, really. Hotjar is a fantastic tool for finding problems like that. There are a couple other tools out there that do something similar. I would stay away from most of them. A couple of them are Russian state-owned programs for tracking web interactions, and don't put those on your website. Trust me. Just stick to Hotjar.
Yeah, and so you can also do heat maps. So you can see like recordings of people actually on your website, but you can also do heat maps. You set up a page like, I specifically want you to track this page, and you can see one here where you see like people are pressing on the middle link quite a bit, whereas the blue area is a little bit less. People are clicking on, people are actually reading, and you can see how far down the page people actually scrolled. So it's like bright green at the top, and then suddenly it goes into a blue area, and then nobody reaches the bottom of the page. And so there's definitely a problem here if you don't have your information right at the beginning there, and your user navigation right from the beginning, because so many people don't even scroll.
Yeah, and it tracks percentages for like page scrolling. So it'll say like, 50% of users made it to this point and then left. 70% of users made it to just the top part. Whatever. It'll give you a heat map and percentages on where people are leaving and how far they're making it down the page. So if you're not driving people down a page, you don't want a really long page. You want a bunch of little boxes to answer some questions. And if they click on one of those, they go to another page, then they start scrolling. Fantastic. You got it. Like you've got their attention.
So how's that? Can you do that the same on your phone? Because we were just playing it with a newsletter that looked quite different on the desktop and on the phone. Can you track what happens when you're on your phone as well?
Yeah, it tracks mobile as well,
It
yes.
tracks all user.
Fine, thank you.
You can even see if somebody's like using a tablet.
It shows it to you in their dimensions even.
You can see that they were, I think you can see that they were even using like
Oh,
their
it'll
tablet
say-
in landscape view or
Yeah,
something.
and it'll say iOS or Android or whatever on it too. So it'll tell you what system they came in from.
So if you, if somebody starts using Internet Explorer or something and they're seeing a very screwed up view of your website because they're using such an old browser, you can see it. And you can say like, oh, wow, people that are using Internet Explorer are seeing a very messed up version of our website. And
Yeah.
you can hopefully fix problems like that. It's great for finding problems.
Thank you.
So Pixabay and Pixels. These are, has anybody used either of these before?
They're fantastic.
They
Pixabay.
are, Pixabay and Pixels are amazing. Commercial use, free stock imagery, videos, vectors, illustrations, animations,
Music on some of them.
music, just incredible resource, and all commercial free.
Pixabay, you're gonna find some weird stuff.
Yeah, one thing I will recommend though is like as you're going, if you really fall in love with it, find something to contribute. You'll never know what people are going to love. I've posted things to Pixabay before. I've got my own account on there. I've got like 18,000 downloads now, I think. It's amazing what people want to see, what people want to use. Like one of my images was just like a shot of downtown Seattle on a gloomy day. It got downloaded like 6,000 times or something stupid.
I have my own account on there where I save images. If I ever am going through, I'm like, wow, that'd be a really great web image for a preschool website. If I ever did a preschool website, I'll save it to a file for school websites. And then in the future, if anybody came to me and they're like, I have a preschool I want to start, I'm like, I already have the imagery for it. That's great. So I use it in a lot of different ways. But I definitely recommend making signing up for it, because not only are you going to be able to organize all those things and use them in the future if you want to, you can save all of those links. Oh, I can't find this image because somebody, I'm searching for computer and somebody only put laptop in the name of the thing. So you can save your pictures for later. And one of the worst things about Pixabay specifically is like if you're not logged in, it's going to make you do a bunch of reCAPTCHAs sometimes. So if you are logged in, it'll never make you do reCAPTCHAs.
Yeah, it's a really annoying, like, which one's a bus? And you're like, those are all buses. And it's like, no, which one's a bus? You're like, I said they're all buses. Coolors. This is a really amazing tool. When Kaitlyn first told me about it, I was like, what the hell am I going to use that for? And then I found myself like spending hours like, ooh, okay, my colors are horrible. I should fix all of it. You put your colors into one little palette and you look at it and you're like, wow, this is terrible. I should fix this. And they offer a bunch of I think they offer a design catalog with a paid version too. Like you can create your own like color guide catalog basically.
The free version is absolutely fantastic. The paid version only costs $3 a month if you do want to use it. You don't need to, because the free version is really awesome. You can find new palettes for basically anything. If you want to do your branding for your company and you want to see what colors look good with each other, it's fantastic for that. It's fantastic for like if you want to see if your colors show up to people that are colorblind, and you can compare colors next to each other. For accessibility reasons, like if your buttons are blue and your background is a different shade of blue, you're probably going to have problems with colorblind user being able to navigate your website. So you can see on here, like you can do that. You can even take an image and like I want this image to be my brand. So I want to take this image of a skyscraper and take the colors out of it and make a whole color palette for my website off of this one image. You can do that. It also, a new option on the website that I didn't know was there, just got added to it, was converting images. So you can convert your, like if you have a PNG, you want to convert to a JPEG, you can do that very easily there. You can convert any image into another image.
It's got like a random picker too. So if you're like, I like all these colors, but this one's not quite right.
Just hit the space bar and it'll flip through colors and suddenly it'll land on something. You're like, actually that red looks really good with the other colors I picked out.
And then you can adjust the shading and like what color definition it has. And you can play with it a lot. It's a fantastic tool for what it is.
It's a really fun tool too. I specifically have a lot of fun picking out colors for things, and I think it's really fun to have no idea what you're going to end up with from the beginning. You're like, I know I like blues and greens. Let's try to make a group blue and green palette, and then suddenly you end up with hot pink and orange, and you're like, this is fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, so we do a lot of branding, obviously, for our clients and for other companies and such. But you know, like I can see how most of you might use it once or twice in a year, but we're using this thing constantly, and it is fun to like go through and test your colors and see like, hey, you know, what have I currently got on my website, and do they really work together? Are they really compatible? Should I go check and see if I'm, you know, look at them side by side and see what the different use cases are.
And it gives you a lot of options for like, if you want to use the same color, but just a slightly different shade of that color, you can do that. Like if your orange is too bright of orange, you can tone it down just a little bit and be like, all right, that really fits in with the palette now. It's so customizable, so fun. I really enjoy this one.
So I'm assuming that they then have a little asset code that you can then use when you're using other software applications.
Yes,
Well,
you
yeah,
can see
I-
that in the
Yeah.
color palette at the top
Yeah.
left there.
Yeah.
The little color codes at the bottom are exactly what you're asking for.
It's a tiny bit small, so I couldn't quite see that, but thank
Yeah,
you.
it's good. Adobe. So if you're proficient in any kind of making things digital at all, Adobe will do that. You know, obviously you can build websites, you can make videos, illustrative designs. They even have a 3D rendering option now that actually, Nick, was it you who was asking about, yeah, you were asking about different topics you could post. So they have, I think it's called Adobe Spark, but basically you can throw together quick social media posts. And I think if you connect it, I think it's mobile. Hold on. Let me see if I have it on my phone.
Definitely better for experienced users. If you've never designed anything on the internet before, you're going to be a little bit lost. There are wonderful tutorials.
Well,
This
with
Adobe has been in business for, I don't know how many years, 20,
like 30,
20 or 30 years now. And so there are a lot of tutorials. There are thousands, millions of people who have made beautiful, beautiful designs on it. Not just art, but also ads, business cards, anything you can think of, you can design in Adobe.
Yeah.
They have a lot of different products. It is a little bit costly, but it's totally worth it if you're a designer or if you have a designer.
And if you're not a designer and you absolutely want to smash your head into a wall every time you try to touch Adobe or any of their products, there's Canva. Canva is fantastic. It'll automatically throw together designs for you, and you can use a lot of their templates. Most of it is free.
Like half of it's free.
The paid features are not that expensive. It's pretty decent. I'd say if you're producing a lot of materials for like social media and you're like, you want to have like just quick branding kits for everything you're pumping out, definitely use Canva.
The only thing I don't like about Canva specifically, on the free version at least, is that like once you choose a size for something, like to make a poster, I chose their poster thing, and you decide, oh, actually I want this in a postcard size, you have to pay for that, which is really stupid, I think. But it's great for if you're just making one size of something. Not so great if you want to convert it into 10 different sizes for 10 different places or whatever.
Was it Canva that also sends, will they send mailers? Isn't that?
You know, I think that everything you do on Canva, you can order.
Yeah.
I don't know if they send it out, but I do know that they'll send it to you.
Who was the company that did the mailers? Was that?
I don't remember.
Anyways, I think that they do have that option where basically you can put in a spreadsheet of addresses and names and say, hey, I want to send this postcard that I just made to all these people, and they go, great, that's $100. And you go, cool, and you punch in your credit card information, and you just mailed people a physical postcard by the hundreds.
Everything you design can be sent to you too. You can make a poster, you can have it sent to your home. You can make a business card, you can have them sent to your home. You can make a whatever, and they'll actually make it a
Yeah, wasn't that
version.
in Canva?
That was made on Canva, but I printed it out.
Anyways, so it's really easy to use. It's a fantastic program. You know, when they were like a lowly little startup, I got to use their product, and it was still terrible at the time, but it was fantastic. I remember like how revolutionary it was that I could make a template for social media posting for Twitter and Facebook at the same time. Just they're a fantastic program.
It is pretty rudimentary though. Like I've designed videos in it, and it's got it's got options, but it's a lot less options than if you're an experienced designer using Adobe, obviously.
Yeah.
It's great for inexperienced users.
Any questions? Fantastic. Perfect. We've answered all of your questions.
Yes.
You guys can ask us marketing questions too. Like,
Or other programs that you've used that you have questions about, or that you haven't used if you want to know how they compare to these guys.
I saw in the chat that Elizabeth posted about PDF conversions. Do you have any, instead of using Adobe, do you have any other cheaper or freer ways to do that?
We use Google Docs for all of our PDFs. I don't know what you use otherwise.
Okay. And then I had a question about security, if there's any security applications or tools you like to use.
we don't currently. I mean, we do kind of for WordPress, for like, you know, like
GDPR and stuff like
yeah,
that.
GDPR, and there's another one too. Sorry, I'm trying to stop sharing my screen, but I'm not sure where the thing went. Oh, there it is. Okay. There we go. Okay. Yeah, so we use like a GDPR compliance app within WordPress, and then we use a few other things for just like security. But most of the security stuff is like
Included?
well, or it's like back end level, you know, like how do you keep a bot out for how do you keep a bot from sending you emails? Well, you set up something like, oh, I guess WP SMTP mail, like for WordPress. It's a fantastic program. You can test your outgoing emails, test your contact emails, make sure everything's working properly, make sure your SPF, your DKIM, and DMARC records are set up.
Making sure your stuff doesn't go to spam.
Have you guys noticed in the last month and a half that there's been a lot more email going to spam than before that? That's an SPF record update. So if you were getting emails from somebody and their emails started suddenly going to spam, that's why.
Let them know. If you're not getting their emails and it's going to their spam box, it's something they can fix, and it's probably happening to all of their emails, and so all of their marketing emails are going in the trash basically, and you should let them know.
Yeah, and if they can't fix it, we'll fix it for a fee. So anyway,
So here's a good chance to ask that question, because when I'm doing a test send on any of things of ours recently, it's going to promotions. So is Nick, when you get a note from Mossy Ventures newsletter, where do you find it? I don't know if you use Google Gmail, but
I get some notes from Meetup for Mossy Ventures, but I didn't actually check if it's coming from promotions, because I normally check them on my phone and my phone doesn't catalog them that way.
okay.
I don't think John has finished adding the SPF records yet.
Oh, well, there we go. We have to come back. Okay.
I did send them to him.
Yeah. Okay. I'll talk to him.
He's busy. I get it. Jira, I'm going to answer these questions now. Jira, I have used it a little bit. I don't know. There are other programs that do a better job, in my opinion. When we transferred from Jira to HubSpot for one of our clients, it was a massively different system. Like keeping things organized in a better fashion and having different taxonomies you can pull was really nice. And Jira seemed to complicate things, and you went to go export files. So when we went to go export all of our CSVs and import them into HubSpot, they came in like scattered and with weird fields that we didn't add. And there was all kinds of strange nuances. And George isn't here to answer this question, but I think I already did. Oh, Anil is doing the talk on analytics. Nice. Okay, cool. Maybe I'll have to show up to that. I never remember to, but I'll try to.
I can send you a ping just before.
$16.50 a month just to open and convert PDFs. So what are you opening them and converting them with?
If I see a PDF and it's an article and I want to capture snippets of it, I'm just trying to open it up and either manipulate the document to change the pages around the order or to capture a small portion of it, remove it, and then have the document stay as a PDF. You think I could do all that with Google?
I think that there is an option in Google to mess with that, but I would say you might be best importing it into Google Sheets if you can. Let me see if that works.
Okay.
Let's go.
I haven't played with that, to be honest. Actually, I just looked at my credit card and I went, what? When did this convert? I'm
Yeah,
for the last 5 months.
There's another app that you can use with Google or with Google Drive that allows you to open PDFs and edit them. But if you're paying for, but if you have Adobe, if you have the Adobe suite, you have Adobe Acrobat, and that works fine.
I have all that. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can cancel the other one, just use Adobe Acrobat.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, let's see here.
When's the best time that a startup starts working with you and your team?
When's the time that it started? I mean, the
Right
best.
from the
We're so early. We're just trying to figure out our marketing. Both my co-founder and I are from a product background, and we've got a landing page and we're trying to get on social media now. But we've got we need a lot of help and just in guidance and perspective. But how early do you normally take on your clients?
I mean, we'll take on a client at almost any stage as long as they match all of our other needs, which is like, you know, is there a driven team? Is it like a one-man show? Are they lacking tools? Are they lacking knowledge?
If they try and use our services, are they going to run out of money in the first month?
Do you have a website and not a lean canvas? There are a lot of questions we like to ask up front. And it's nothing, a lot of it are things that can be addressed and fixed, but also our time is expensive. So in order for us to give something to a team, it's like your best bet's coming to a couple of these, getting a bunch of information from us, catching up to us a little bit and then saying like, hey, I don't think I can go any longer without marketing help, and then hit us up. The best time to start working with us is like pretty early on, honestly. Like I think that the best time to hit a marketing firm is the second you come up with an idea and you say, this is going to be the idea, we're going to do this.
Not just a marketing firm, but right from the beginning, you should be considering marketing. Like the entire time, it should be in the back of your mind. Like, how am I actually going to get people to buy this? Is my brand attractive? Is the name even going to make them think of tech?
Yeah, and you don't want an agency. You don't want a branding agency. You don't want a marketing agency. The difference is an agency does the task and gives you the product. A firm either trains you or educates you or works alongside you to develop the plan that an agency would otherwise build. So we try not to do a lot of the little work. We do the websites because, I mean, to be honest, people just screw them up. But you know, in actuality, we love working with people who are like, yeah, no, I can do all this stuff. I just need you to tell me what it is. It's like, okay, cool. Once a week, we get together, we spend an hour, we do a 1 hour consult. Then you go do what you need to do, come back to us and you say, hey, I hit these roadblocks. We go, cool, here's how much it's going to cost for us to fix it. And we either do it or you do it, or we give you the documentation to do it, whatever.
We also hire teams for people. So if you have the funding to do recruiting, we can help find the team members that you need to run your marketing department or any other position, really.
Yeah, we do a lot of operations work. So we're not, one second. Yeah, sorry. So a lot of sorry, what was I saying?
Recruiting.
Yeah, so for recruiting, like a lot of companies don't know exactly what they need. They'll say like, oh, you know, I need somebody to do marketing. It's like, what kind of marketing? Because there's a difference between like hiring an intern to do marketing and hiring an intern who has a bachelor's degree and wants to do social media. There's, you know, as a matter of fact, the algorithm that I was talking about that I'd worked on earlier was sold to Amazon specifically for that task, to figure out who to hire. So one of my pieces of software actually at Nathaniel's call here. But yeah, so anyways, there's a fantastical amount of expertise that goes into marketing and production and development and business development specifically. I'd say we do more business development than marketing, but we call ourselves a marketing firm. People come to us for marketing, like, hey, I need all these things. Like, do you have all these other things? No, we don't.
Do you have a system set up for any of this? No. One thing about recruiting that I want to say specifically is like if you're not knowledgeable of that field at all, you shouldn't be hiring for it. Like we have a client who just hired a developer, and I'm like, do you know anything about development? Do you know what code this person knows? Do you know what code that you need them to know? Do you know any of these things before you hired this person, or were you like, oh, this person knows development? Like,
yeah, so it's like the BigCommerce thing. The company that we worked with that used BigCommerce, exclusively used BigCommerce. They had hired a developer who had no idea how to use Ruby on Rails at all. Just none of it was there, you know. So you had a developer who knows what they're doing, just not for this system, and then you throw them on it and you go, hey, fix all these things. And so she was spending hours learning how to use the system and clocking hours for it. It's like, I think you should look for a new developer. I mean, as sad as it is, you could have her doing other things. She's more proficient at other things that need to be done around here, but you need one that runs specifically with this, you know, somebody that works specifically in this world, in this realm, where they can make sense of what's going on here. And that wasn't the case.
Like if you can find your own employees, that's fantastic. But if you're looking for something that you don't actually know what the qualifications of that job are, like development or social media or any of those things that relate to marketing, I think it's definitely worth hiring somebody who knows what to look for. Like especially one of the things that we've come across a lot is people who are not college educated but have real world experience versus people that are college educated but don't have any real world experience. And so we're able to, like, a lot of people are like, oh, we only want bachelor's degrees, we only want master's degrees, we only want people who are really trained in this. And we go and look over the resumes and we're like, we don't need those guys. We need this guy who's been doing it for himself for the last 3 years and knows exactly how to do it.
I can't tell you how many times some keyboard jockey, 22-year-old social media kid beat out the bachelor's degree for the unpaid internship. I mean, this is a real thing. There's like, we've had people with master's degrees come to us to try to get internships and have to turn them down because they have no experience for some dude who's like 22 playing around on the internet who was a dropout at 17. It's insane. Like the real world experience is so much more valuable than a piece of paper in today's world.
Especially since anything that you're learning in college about marketing is already outdated.
Typically it's like 4 to 8 years old already.
Yeah, and so when you're actually doing it, when you're actually like in an internship or you're doing it for yourself or whatever it is, a volunteer opportunity, you're actually doing it hands-on, you're seeing how these tools work today and how like there are already new tools that you're not learning about in a college class. Your teacher doesn't know about ClickUp. Your teacher does not know about Hubspot or any of these tools that are going to help you actually achieve your goals in any of this. And so really hands-on experience is key in marketing.
Okay, Martha, which is John's wife, teaches computer stuff at a college. So we'll have to ask her what kind of courses she's teaching these days.
As long as they're staying like current, not just reading from a textbook that's like 9 years old or something.
I think she's been with enough startups that she probably knows that, but it's a fun thing to ask.
I don't want to harsh on college experience at all, but definitely if you have real world experience in marketing, it definitely sets you apart from just college educated people.
I totally agree with you, Caitlin.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's not to say that a majority of the hires we've made weren't bachelor's degrees. They were. So, you know, there is that.
A lot of the people who are doing it for themselves are either successful doing it for themselves and are not looking for a position, or are
still trying to learn.
Yeah,
they're just hungry for the knowledge and they just keep going, and they'll fight tooth and nail and work that extra hour every day just to find out how to do it. So that's I mean, like,
they're used to finding the information themselves. Like if we don't know something, we're going to tell you to Google it. And people who do it for themselves every day don't even come to ask us for the questions. They're like, I'm just going to Google it. I already know. Yeah,
I'd say like it's amazing what you can find in people who are just determined. Grit is everything, right? Like Grit got me an offer of 180 at Trello when they were still a startup, and I turned it down, which was a stupid move on my part, but it was a while ago now too. I really liked my Impact Hub office, so I stayed so I could hang out with John. That's my excuse. No, yeah, there's just so much that can come out of hiring. It's very important to hire the right people, obviously. Nick, if you have more questions about, like, you know, working with us, or if, you know, we have information for you, we can even set up a time to talk. We can set up like a free 1-hour consult and just discuss what you're doing, figure out where you need the most help. Hey, it's Tom.
I'd love to. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Afternoon.
Long time no see, Tom. Well, I still don't see you, but long time no hear. Hey. But yeah.
But yes, also, like, marketing should be a key thing you're thinking about from the very beginning. Even if you're not the marketing person, even if you don't even have a marketing person yet, you should always have that in the back of your mind, that marketing is very important. One thing that happened with COVID hit is that a lot of people stopped paying so much to their marketing. They're like, oh, we're not going to have the funds pretty soon here to keep marketing. We're going to, like, hold off for a while. And we're like, no, this is the perfect time to market, because everybody's doing that. There's less competition, and you're going to be seen more than ever before because nobody else is competing for those keywords or whatever it is. And it's a great time to do it, because if you don't spend the money now, you're going to be out of money in 3 months instead of just the 1 month you think you're going to run out of money at. Like, it's definitely worth spending money on marketing, and definitely worth spending money on marketing if you have a person seasoned and experienced in the way of, like, we're going to try and get you ROI from that. You put money in, you get more money out.
Yeah, there has to be a calculation. I'd say, like, you know, even beyond marketing, one of the major things that we run into when we first come across a client is, like, you know, what are you spending your money on? What are you tracking right now? Are you keeping track of your finances? Do you know how much your website's costing you per month? Do you know how much your team is costing you per month? What's your spending budget per month? Things like that. Like, we go really heavily into operations. So we want to know that nothing is going to affect the marketing, so that we can deploy the marketing, so that we can properly build it out and accommodate for it and account for every penny that's going to be spent on it.
We've gone into companies where, like, they have the whole company set up and they've got 100 employees and nobody's communicating with each other. The marketing department is not communicating with the department that's making the product. The salespeople are not communicating. The people who are dealing with customer problems are not communicating with the marketing department. We can't fix our website if we don't know what the problems are. So nobody's communicating. Fix those problems first, because all of those problems are going to make your marketing fall apart.
Yeah, and another thing to take into consideration is your company. What am I trying to say?
Atmosphere?
Not just the atmosphere, but like your company's integrity is directly linked to your marketing, right? Like, your workplace is directly linked to what your public image is. So you have to make sure that everything inside looks as good as it does outside. I mean, you've seen major companies over the years, some companies even completely dismantled based on company culture. Company culture, that's what I was looking for. You want your company culture to match your marketing. Absolutely. Like, you don't want somebody to show up and be like, hey, but nothing looks the same here. Nothing operates the way you said it was. You know, when they show all these, like, super happy Amazon workers on TV, but then you hear, like, they've run out of, you know, basically hiring pools because they've churned through so much of the population in those areas. It's a big issue. So it's like your company culture isn't matching your public image, and that has become a big issue at Amazon. Now they're having to readdress their company culture when it comes to their actual distribution facilities. So they're trying to change it in the facilities as opposed to just changing the image on the front end, which is a Herculean task.
Oh yeah,
for sure. Any other questions? I mean, I'm sure that there's something somebody wants to ask that they're just trying not to ask. There usually is. I'm totally open to answer any marketing questions while I'm here.
Yeah, it doesn't just have to be about tools.
Yeah, quick one. What are, and if you covered this, my apologies, I'm running behind. What are current trends you're seeing around SEO? Is there any new magic now that's adapted differently than 12, 18 months ago?
I mean, there are always updates coming from Google, little nuances and changes here and there, especially when it comes to things like compliance issues. Like, I'm sure that Votegrity runs into some compliance issues with SEO. I mean, everybody does, right? On some level. Healthcare is a big one. There was an update 2 years ago that basically wiped out all chiropractor websites. Like, just if you're a chiropractor and you're also selling, you know, what I like to call woo science, if it's anything along those lines, you get dinged and your website stops showing up as high. So you still show up, but you have a negative ranking factor now. So I always try to say to people, like, if you're going to produce something that's edging that line, something that Google is going to keep a close eye on, like healthcare or voting integrity or financial advice, anything along those lines, anything that could affect people on a massive scale, you have to be very careful to watch your P's and Q's and do your research to know what is and isn't going to be a negative ranking factor.
And also, I don't know if this is a ranking factor, but I do know that it helps for like customers being comfortable with working with you or using your website or whatever it is. Just having like disclaimers that say like, we are not giving you financial advice, or we are not giving you advice on your symptoms. We're not trying to tell you that you have some sort of disease. Go to a doctor if you really think you're sick, or any of those things. I don't know if that's a ranking factor, but I do know that it's definitely helps with legal issues,
Yeah,
and comfortability of the user.
If you refer to a specialist and then give a link to a specialist, that does help. So
yeah, always linking to helpful organizations, like real organizations that have clout online and are trusted by Google, always helps.
yeah, I was trying to run ads for a chiropractor recently, I'm helping him set them up, and I get through and I finish typing out everything and I've got all the keywords all built into it. I'm like, all right, well, let's hit save and see what it has, and hit save and go back. It's like, can't deliver this ad. Like,
Sorry,
why?
you're not allowed to talk about chiropractors.
Like, chiropractors are bad. Not really, but like that's what Google basically treated it like.
Acting like
They're like, you can't say that it's going to help anybody. You can't say that anybody's going to get better. Like, you can't say there's any kind of healing going on.
The interesting thing about healthcare with advertising on Google is that they don't want you to single out any like conditions, because they don't want people to think that they're being tracked online on their conditions.
Right. Yeah.
So,
for health
something
conditions.
kind of weird for me is that my brother has MS. And so I was like looking up things about MS and if there was anything to help him, or like symptoms of it or things like that. And suddenly I'm getting all these ads on Facebook for MS studies and all these things. I'm like, I don't even have MS. And now I'm uncomfortable that I just searched for MS and suddenly you're trying to sell me things based on my health condition that I don't even have.
There is such a thing as responsible advertising, and it's not a thing that is an industry standard yet. So like one of the major issues that we had talked about before was a woman had lost a baby, and a week before she's looking for
baby carriages
and clothes
car
and
seats,
bassinets and whatever else, and then no more baby, and then she's getting hammered with advertisements constantly, reminders 24/7 every day. There's a place when it's appropriate, and there's a place when it's not, and there's not really a way for advertising to know all of these little nuances of people's lives. So we still don't have. Yeah, now it is going to be birth control and abortion access. Yeah, things have changed a lot in terms of that right now. That's another thing, is like when you're searching for those things online, is there a way to track them? State by state, there are legal issues involved. And then another major thing, people are saying to delete their period trackers. It's like, delete your period tracker because it can be used in court. Like, what are we doing here, right? So anyways, a lot of weird things that go on with data. There's a lot of
there's a lot of responsibility.
We try to be very, very responsible with what we produce and how we produce it.
You don't want to hurt anybody with your advertising, especially because like maybe you're hurting that individual. It's not that big of a deal in the long run, but it hurts your brand to hurt your customers at any point in the situation. If you're not putting your customer service hat on when you need to put your customer service hat on, if you're not being understanding that people have feelings, all these things contribute to being successful, and people are going to complain about you if you are rude or if you screw something up and hurt their feelings or whatever it is. It's going to come back and haunt you.
Yeah.
Always something to keep in mind.
How do sites like Yelp handle issues you pointed out with people like chiropractors. Those are not direct ads. It is a site which helps market chiropractor and other types of, because they market everything from lawyers to auto mechanics to car cleaners, everything.
You're talking about Yelp?
Every
As an
website
example.
has their own rules. So this is specifically Google that started this conversation. Was like, Google has rules. They're trying to make sure that like woo science and things that could hurt people are not showing up in the top rankings. And so that was basically their plan, and that has nothing to do with Yelp.
Yeah, Yelp
Okay.
is also a very interesting case because advertising on Yelp is literally just like you show up on your competitors' pages. So there's not a whole lot of like keywords built into that. There's nothing like they try to make it sound fancier than it is, but it's literally just like, yeah, here are the keywords I want to focus on. It's like, okay, cool. We'll find all of your competitors who are ranking well for those keywords. And we're going to advertise on their page unless they pay to stop it. I think that companies like Yelp, Yelp is a fantastic example because there's very, very little advertising responsibility within Yelp. I think Yelp is probably the Antichrist.
We definitely don't recommend using Yelp at all. Like, we definitely recommend having
Sign up
Yelp.
for it, have it.
Have a
Do
Yelp.
not pay them a
Don't-
cent.
Yeah, don't
Don't
pay them a cent. Unless they're going to give it to you for free, absolutely free. Maybe that's fine.
Yeah, if it's absolutely free, don't give them a credit card number
yeah,
either
don't
because
give
it's
them a
not
credit
free if you give them a card number.
Yeah, almost all of our clients that have used Yelp see like in the first month they're like, hey, I'm getting all these calls. The next month, nothing. Next month, nothing.
Burnt.
Next month, nothing. Just gone.
Just burnt. Yeah.
It's not sustainable.
I hope they contact us too. They'll be like, hey, you hurt our feelings. Good.
Good, you're awful.
Sue me, Johnny Depp.
Yeah, I don't recommend advertising on Yelp at all.
Yeah. Some of the systems I do recommend advertising on, if it's appropriate, social media. If it's appropriate, social media. Nick, you're going to have an interesting time advertising. It was an app for introverted people to communicate more.
Yeah, to gain social confidence.
That would be great for online ads because a lot of those people aren't leaving the house. They're spending a lot of time online and they might come across your ads.
Yeah, I'd say you want forums. You want to focus on forums where people are asking questions about things. How do I be more confident? Why can't I get a girlfriend? Whatever,
Reddit.
whatever it might be. Yeah, Reddit's a fantastic place. Quora, what's the other one? There's one more major one. There's like a forum system. I don't know. There are tons of them out there, but I would say forums are probably one of your strongest bets, if not going and creating a forum even to drive more traffic to it.
And there are a lot of places that you can advertise. There's Google, there's Facebook, there's all sorts of places that you can advertise. There's even Pinterest, which not a whole lot of people use, so there's probably a lot less competition there. So if you do have like visual ads that would be nice to look on Pinterest, put it there. Even OfferUp has ads now. Like it's insane where you can advertise, and specifically like where you can find your specific user. Like, oh, my users are really visual and they like looking at pictures. I'm going to advertise on Pinterest. Oh, my users really like Facebook, or my users spend a lot of time on LinkedIn even. Like, you really have to determine where your users are and what you can advertise on that platform to them that's going to be interesting to them.
That's another big thing to talk about is like, where is it appropriate to advertise? And a lot of people think that like, oh, why would I ever advertise on Facebook? It's like, well, sometimes you're not going to advertise on Facebook, but you're still going to pay Facebook the advertising dollars because they have space on other websites, other forums, other channels where they advertise your product if you pay them, and they're the only ones with the consumer data for that user typically, unless it's Google, and Google does not get as finite in their consumer data. Facebook is way more intrusive than Google, but I'd say that Facebook and Google are fantastic advertising platforms. That's literally why they're worth so much money. If I could start advertising inside of self-driving Teslas, I would, but I can't yet. So yet. Let's see if he can be the first trillionaire or not. We'll give him some more time. Hey, George.
Yeah, sorry, I had to go out back. Yes.
That's all right.
no.
Did you have any questions? We're just doing open time.
Pardon me?
And I think we might have to mute you, George, there for some background. Yeah, that's you. You can put your note in the chat if you like, because there was a tiny bit of background noise there. But we do want to see if there's any other things. You've got access to two very bright consultants here and who have offered a lot of wisdom. If you go back on our YouTube channel, you can find some other previous sessions that they have done. Although I must tell you, I thought this one was super helpful in terms of the tools, but maybe it's because I'm struggling with some of these things right now.
Everybody is struggling with these things all the time. Like no matter what, you're going to struggle. You're going to have pain points in your company, especially if you're not using your tools. Like a lot of people say like, oh, we were using Todoist, we were using whatever, and then we all abandoned it. I couldn't get my whole team to use it, and so I just abandoned it. Don't abandon them. If the tool doesn't work for you the first time, it might be user error. It might be just that you need to reorganize it a little bit in a way that makes sense to you. It might be that you're using the wrong tool. Like if you started using Todoist and it's just not doing what you want, you just need to switch to ClickUp. The tools are there to make your life easier, not to be another pain point that you're just like, oh, now I have to go on this website and go blah, 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 whatever. No, it's made to make sure that everybody's staying focused. Everybody's focused on that goal of growing or building something new or helping people or whatever. You always want to stay like the internet was made to make things easier, not to make things more complicated.
That depends on who you speak to.
Yes, half of our clients hire us because they are not very savvy on the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, the more complex you make things, the more consulting fees there are to make it simple.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that we can't just like hand somebody a stack of papers and just say like, hey, do this and give us like a flat rate. But we're building that system too, so just give some time.
Hey, a quick question for you guys. You do much stuff with content marketing? Do you have any collection of best sites, resources that are good for content marketing?
Best what? Best practices?
Yeah, sites which have the best practices. We've been finding sites like there's one place, Market Institute. I think, which I came across recently. They have some good interviews, people who are very in that industry, and the whole area of writing articles and using images all put together for the reader.
Honestly, I think these workshops, like if you go on Meetup and look for workshops, the best thing you can do is like if you have very specific questions for somebody, is to find somebody who's specializing in it and doing a talk about it that's free or very cheap, very low cost. Yeah, I'd say we have a lot of experience with content marketing. It was actually our first approach was doing social media with a startup, doing social media marketing and doing content marketing around designs. So like it was a clothing brand that we were just playing with it, just kind of having fun, testing out different tools on it and stuff like that. And we were doing content marketing around specific social movements, right? So if it was like the Roe versus Wade overturning would be one of those social movements that we would have focused in on. We would have wrote articles about it. We would have written pros and cons, and we would have gone towards every angle of that argument. And then we would have chunked it up into 1,000 pieces and used it as content. One of the best tools that I've found for that specific task, which if they watch this, they're going to love that I said it. I think that it's, yeah, Pictory.ai. I'll put the link in the chat. If you guys haven't used it, they're phenomenal.
They just did a talk like last week or the week before on their products. So you can see probably on the SAC YouTube channel that talk. It's a pretty good tool. Also, if you are, if you're doing content marketing, one of our talks was actually on content marketing and how important it is and how important it is to like know who you're talking to and all of those things. I definitely recommend going and checking that out just as a quick little blurb. But I've seen a lot of like tutorials, just random tutorials, but HubSpot does a pretty good job of making tutorials on how to utilize their tools to be really successful. And a lot of their stuff is about keyword research and what was it, like Uber Suggest also does all of that stuff too. They have great tutorials on how to turn your keywords into useful content all across the internet. And definitely focus on keywords. One of the tools that we used to use, we no longer use it, but it's still a very valuable tool, is Ask. What is it called? Ask the World. Ask. What was it called? We used to use it all the time. It's a tool where you can search basically one of your top keywords, and it'll give you all the questions that people are asking about that keyword across the internet. So if you're searching marketing, what is marketing? What should I do for my marketing? How to hire a marketing whatever? All these questions that are really useful, and like, oh wow, those are questions I could include in a blog article.
Elizabeth,
Are you talking about SEMrush?
No, it was not SEMrush. It was Ask the Public. Answer the Public. That's
Answer the Public.
Answer the Public.
Oh yeah.
We used it for a short while, but we stopped using it mainly because the free version is very limiting. It only allows you like 3 searches a month or something.
Okay, here's what really happened. I developed a tool in-house that does a better job, okay?
Yeah, also he developed a tool that does a better job. But
Suck it, Answer the Public.
I was just gonna say, I heard about your own tool though.
Yeah, one thing that it does that ours doesn't specifically do is like it looks for questions that people are asking. Ours is just a keyword tool. Like it's gonna find any keywords that people are and keyword strings that people are looking for. So it'll include questions and things. But we were specifically looking for questions that people are asking, because if they're asking questions about it, they want to know about it. It's much easier to determine that this person is looking for services if they're asking specifically a question about services rather than just they're searching marketing. If you're searching just marketing, you could be looking for marketing tools, you could be looking for an agency, you could be looking on how to set up your marketing, you could be looking for so many things. But if you're asking a question that's very specific, it's like, all right, I can write an article about that. How do I do my blah, blah, blah?
Oh,
very easy to write content.
Anon, you were talking about trending topics for content marketing?
That's only one aspect.
So I think one of the best trending search engines that I've ever found was a company called BuzzSumo. If you haven't heard of them, I would definitely look into them. They just track trending topics that are coming up in live time. It's
okay.
I don't know exactly how they do it. I assume that they're something to do with the millions of Facebook bots out there. Mm-hmm. But either way, it's a good tool. It has really fascinating statistics on it, and it gives you percentage reporting on how to what you should be attacking.
What about Google? Has Google exposed any tool type interfaces trends?
Yeah, trends.google.com. Try that out. Yeah, if you haven't used it yet, it's also a fascinating tool. And I guess we should probably review this afterwards and add all of these to this slideshow for you guys.
Yeah, I've used Trends before, but not in recent times. That's a good tool, but I think they are pretty high level. I've used Answer the Public as well. They were very detailed. So I do need to refresh my memory, go back to over there. Yeah. SEMrush was also pretty good.
SEMrush is decent. There are a couple other, there's like something Ninja. I forget what the name of it is. Either way, there are a bunch of options out there. I would
okay.
And you can feel free to run some by us or ask questions. Elizabeth posted both of our LinkedIns at the top, and you can feel free to request to follow or friend whatever LinkedIn does. I respond to messages on there. I just don't use it. So if it looks like it's not being used in a dead account, you're kind of right. But I do respond to messages.
Okay, so I'm going to it's been a great conversation, and obviously still lots that could go on. I want to be respectful of people's time, and it's on the move to 2:00. And so this will be available for video and afterwards. If you have not already saved your chat, go ahead and do it with those 3 buttons at the bottom, and keep in touch with Kaitlyn and Andrew, because they've got a wealth of knowledge that you could benefit from. Join us next Tuesday. We're going to be talking about angel investing on Tuesday evening. And on Thursday, it'll be the talk on Google Analytics at 12. So the same time here. Thanks very much, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you all.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.